to the court-martial because I firmly believe that I was right. I don't remember ever signing away my religious rights or any other constitutionally guaranteed rights when I signed up for the military.
Right.
So I requested the court-martial, at which point pretty much everybody in the room, honestly, I thought that everybody had saw a ghost at that moment. Because apparently people don't request court-martials very often.
well, it's, military justice. But so take us through that. What happened at the court-martial hearing?
Well, the court-martial proceedings actually lasted for over a year, at which point I'd gotten a court-ordered military attorney, guess that I don't mention his name.
Yes.
I had also acquired for myself civilian attorney, Patricia Finn. Between the two of them, they kept me going. One of them would say, just take whatever deal you can get. The other one would say, keep fighting. And they would, the prosecution would come back with another offer, and then it would be role reversal. One would say, that sounds like a pretty good deal. The other one would say, no, keep fighting. So it went back and forth, and I was under no impression that I was ever going to give up because I felt that I was right. And if that meant being convicted and going to federal prison at Fort Leavenworth for a year, then that's what I would do. Let
me ask you this, though. What was the opinion of the soldiers whose health you were responsible for as a medic? Did they support your decision not to have them injected with an experimental vaccine, or did they want the vaccine? What was their take?
Well, I would say that an overwhelming number were very supportive. I had already known most of those soldiers for a couple of years, and they trusted me implicitly. If I said, you don't need this, then they would fight to the end saying, I don't need this injection, this shot. If Doc says it, and it's the word of God as far as I'm concerned.
Now, in retrospect, got to ask you, we know that the H5N1 pandemic was mostly a fraud. It was designed. I mean, we covered a lot of the fraudulent news today about what's come out about the vaccine fraud from one company in particular, whistleblowers coming out. And we know that the H5N1 pandemic was a fraud designed to sell vaccines. So as you monitor all of this news coming out, doesn't this really vindicate your decision? I mean, there was no pandemic happening over there that vaccine would have stopped.
Right. The worst part about all of that is that the entire time that we were deployed during the supposed pandemic, I got reports on a weekly basis about in-country medical status for all the units in country. And I don't remember seeing a single soldier that was positive with H1N1, H5N1, or any other swine flu derivative.
That's because it was a hoax, man. The whole thing was a hoax.
Exactly.
And so let me tell you, let me give you a little bit of behind the scenes too. What this is the drug companies making money by treating U.S. soldiers like chemical pin cushions, and then convincing the higher ups in the military to just, spend all this money on the vaccines. The drug companies go cash the checks at the bank, and the JP Morgan controller bank, by the way, and then the soldiers get treated like human guinea pigs. So you were trying to stop that, and it seems like you did so from a rational, ethical basis in the protection of the lives and health of the men who you were responsible for. So in my opinion, you should be given a medal or something for doing that. But instead, they wanted to throw you to the wolves.
Correct. It was tougher on my family, really, than it was on me. I've dealt with the military, at that point for about 6 years. I knew how they are. And I already knew that we're basically considered to be just big, dumb animals there to enforce foreign policy.
Right.
So.
All right, well, tell us then, how did this conclude?
Okay, so my military attorney is actually the one that found this little-known regulation where if any decision goes against the military's ideas and it's based on a real, honest sincerely held religious belief, then that soldier can request from the Secretary of the Army, in this case, John McHugh, to be released because of, I forget the exact wording, but it's called a Chapter 5-3. And you can look that up on Google, pops right up. Okay. But basically the wording that I got in my letter from Secretary of the Army McHugh was, we're very sorry, Specialist Niemi, that the Army is no longer able to abide by your religious beliefs. So please accept our apologies, and here's an honorable discharge. You can keep all of your benefits, your Veterans Affairs benefits, GI Bill, so on and so forth.
So that sounded like good news, but then something else happened, right?
Oh, more things are happening on a daily basis, it seems like.
So you got out with an honorable discharge, and you were supposed to have your benefits intact.
Correct. So in my last, I guess it was about 3 or 4 days in the military, I'm doing all of the check the box, turn all this gear back in, go to finance, make sure that my final paycheck is going to be okay. When finance tells me that supposedly I owe a part of my reenlistment bonus back.
So okay, how much was your reenlistment bonus?
It was $13,500 back in 2007.
So now, because you're exiting the military, they argued that you needed to pay a portion of that back?
Correct.
And how much did that come to?
Just under $5,000.
So they docked your final paycheck, or what did they do? Send you a bill?
Well, both, actually. They took the entire final paycheck and then sent me a bill for almost $1,000.
And of course, you had no job. I mean, you just got out of the military. You had no employment at that time, right?
Correct. That's another thing that happened along the way out was all military medics are trained and certified as emergency medical technicians. Well, when I went to recertify earlier this year, well before my recertification date was due, I was told basically that I didn't have enough classes, enough of the continuing education unit classes to recertify. So I, of course, went back through my files, pulled out all of my diplomas, all of my little, certificates and whatnots, and found out, not only did I have enough, I had more than enough. I had an excess of continuing education hours needed to recertify my EMT. I called back every other day to both the National Registry of EMTs in San Antonio and my local medical training facility at Fort Drum, and tried to get it straightened out. But as of right now, I'm still not licensed.
Well, wait a minute. Do you think that somebody in an act of revenge is messing with your records to deny you employment? Is that your theory? Or is this just some paperwork snafu that the military is sometimes famous for?
Well, at first I thought, okay, military, going between a military organization and a civilian organization, paperwork's going to get messed up. Computers are going to be down sometimes. Okay, fine. But after about 3 months of arguing back and forth with these people on both sides, both of them blaming the other one, of course.
Meanwhile, you're out of work. You can't get work as an EMT.
Right. So.
Okay, so is this situation still not resolved at this point? What are you doing for work right now?
Right now, I'm unemployed. I'm getting ready to start possibly next week or the week after with Volunteer Fire Squad here in East Tennessee. And I'm going to school next month, going back to college.
Wow. What words do you have for other soldiers in the military or people considering going into the military? You've been through quite an experience here. Do you have some wisdom to share with others who may be considering that?
Well, to the people that are already in, I would, before you file a religious exemption request, I would ask the commander, your unit commander, ask your first sergeant, ask your chain of command, what do you think of this? If they tell you flat out that they're not going to approve it, then expect the same type of treatment that I got. If they tell you that they're they're open to take a look at it, then go ahead and file it. It's the regulation dealing with that is AR 40-562.
All right, we're gonna go to break here. We'll be right back. Stay with us, Sean. We'll continue with you on the other side here on the Alex Jones Show. Be right back.
You can run on for a long time.
All right, U.S. Army medic Jon Niemi is continuing with us. We're about to wrap this up, Sean. I want to say that on behalf of all Americans, I'm ashamed at the way that the U.S. government treats its soldiers in so many cases. Just the Veterans Administration treatment that soldiers are given, but this thing, the way they treated you, is an embarrassment. And I want to wish you well in your civilian life, and ask if you have any final words you'd like to add to this interview.
Like I was saying before the break, any soldiers, current soldiers, or any other service members, the regulations are a little different for Air Force, Navy, Marines. But anybody that has questions, feel free to ask me. I put out the blog address. I have links to my YouTube page and Facebook account also on there. Feel free to ask. I can help guide you through the very, very ridiculously difficult path of trying to get a religious exemption. For soldiers, service members that are thinking about joining, I would say don't wait till you get to your unit. Try to get your exemption with your recruiter. It's a lot easier to get an exemption before you go in than after you get there.
Well said. And the web address is vaccinebattles.wordpress.com. Jon Niemi, thank you for joining us today. It's been a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you, Mike. Have a good day.
All right, you too. Take care. By the way, we have an article about that situation. It should go up tomorrow morning on naturalnews.com with some more details about Sean's situation. We've been investigating that for roughly a week or so. I think bottom line here, some of what we've gone over today, the nation has a sacred responsibility to treat its soldiers with respect and dignity. And that is absolutely not happening. That was just one example that we saw with Sean there. The truth is, these experimental vaccines, which are so often based on complete medical quackery and fraud, these vaccines are sold between from the drug companies to the government with these under-the-table deals, these secret deals with kickbacks and bribes and all these kinds of incentives to the decision makers, and then they're dumped essentially onto the troops. The troops are treated as a biological vaccine disposal system so that the vaccine companies can just make more money selling a vaccine that they don't even have any proof that it works or that it's safe. They don't even include documentation of any kind whatsoever. There's virtually no testing done for long-term safety and efficacy of these vaccines. Across the vaccine industry, you're looking at runaway total criminality and fraud throughout the vaccine industry, and unfortunately, that spills over into the military. Speaking of the military, by the way, check this out. $9.2 billion was spent in just 4 days, according to a BusinessInsider.com article. That's up from $4 billion the week before. And $6 billion of that was used to pay 11 commercial shipping companies to ship Department of Defense stuff around the planet. So there go your taxpayer dollars. And check this out. Hey, there's $146 million of money that was sent to the Boeing company for foreign arms deals. This is to provide weapons to nations like the Republic of Korea, and then Taiwan, Saudi Arabia, India. Shouldn't the customers buy their own military gear? Why do taxpayers have to pay to build missiles to ship over to North Korea for their defense? Shouldn't they buy their own stuff? I mean, come on. This is crazy. Anyway, thanks for joining me today. It's been great being with you on the show here on the Alex Jones Show. I want to thank the crew for doing a great job, and thank Jon Niemi and Jon Rappoport for being with us today. Get informed, folks. Get informed, and realize it's not just an info war. There's also a spiritual war going on. Get informed. We can win this thing together. Retransmission begins now. Join us on Nightly